We are live, everybody. Hey, this is a great time to jump in, and we are going to talk about the market because everybody wants to hear about how negative the market is, and it's kind of going in that direction. Let's be honest, right? This is not an optimistic show if it's not rooted in fact. And the fact is that right now there's some challenges in the housing market in Phoenix, Arizona. We peaked in February in terms of our optimal supply and demand, our highest demand and our Cromford Market Index. And now we are going in the opposite direction. But what does that mean? Is that bad? Is that good? Is it an opportunity here? It's opportunity there? Who is it an opportunity for? We're going to dive into all of that in this YouTube Live. But if you could first let us know where you're watching from. Comment below. Let's make this a two-way conversation as much as possible. I don't like having a one-day conversation. I mean, I do it all day long here. But YouTube Live, let's jump in and let's talk about some things. And I'll be sure to check the comments on the replay as well. But don't be afraid to jump in. Let us know where you're watching from. It helps curate the algorithm for better contact in the future. So here we go, guys. We're going to jump right in. We're going to talk a little bit about the housing market and, of course, development and what's going on, going around the Arizona's local economy, because that is interesting. Let's be real here. So we're going to make this as fun and exciting as possible. But here you go, guys. That's what everybody came for right here. The monthly median sales price. This is I told you so. This is the I told you so graph right here. And the I told you so graph is saying that, Kelly, I told you the median sales prices at all are going down and it is crashing. Well, there you have it right here. It is at 446,263 on this graph. And it was at 460 1 month ago. 1 month ago, maybe in some change. And now we're at 446. So 460 to 446. That is $14,000 in loss median sales price across the Maricopa County, guys. So where is this going to end? Now, could it go down a little bit further? Do you think we'll be down here at this point where we were in February of 2023 when we were at 415? On the median sales price. Now, looking back at February of 2023, I don't know if anyone was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst market ever. I don't think that's the case at all. It was slower, but if you recall, the market kind of plummeted, if you will, from summer of 22 all the way down through Christmas of 2022. Why? Because rates went up and inflation was out of control. But what do we have tomorrow coming up? Anybody know? It's a significant report. We have the inflation readings, right? We have the inflation report coming out tomorrow, and they will announce where that currently stands. If it is favorable, then that's going to help the overall markets with potential good news, and therefore potential interest rates going down, potentially lower. Well, speaking of that, where are our rates right now? Well, let's give it a whirl and show you guys. We're at 6.81%. There you go. This is Mortgage News Daily. This is a great site to go check out where the rates are trending. And the 30-year fix, you can see right here is 6.81. Guys, that is better than 1 week ago. This time, it was at pretty much right at 7% on a good solid applicant on a 30-year fixed mortgage. So that's good. Now, tomorrow, I'm telling you guys right now, if you're thinking about buying a house or refinancing or doing something with financing right now, tomorrow, the inflation data is coming out. You could lock your loan. You could lock your rate today. You absolutely could. But if you're a betting person at all, the inflation data is supposed to be positive coming out tomorrow. That's what all the leaked, if you will, smart news sources say. And so if it is, you should see a situation in which the 30-year fixed rate does actually bump down a little bit more. So just keep that for some food to consider. Now, let's jump back to our Cromford Market Index, guys. We're solid at 77.3. Now, solid not meaning like we're good. It is like a solid 77.3. It's in the high 70s now for the last several months, and it's not really going much anywhere else at this point. So we'll see if that maybe goes down a little bit more. But what you have going on, guys, is demand is still it's low, but it's relatively staying put. Okay, where supply is increasing, and this is causing a balance. Now, if you look at the CMI, you know that a balanced market is 90 to 110, and we are nowhere near that at 77.3. So we are congratulations, we are in a balanced market. If you are a buyer, this is a great time for you, relatively speaking. But what is a great time? How is it defined? Only you can decide that. Give us a call. Let us know if we can help you kind of figure out what it is you want to do, because renting can still be a good option as well. I will never be somebody that shames somebody into renting and saying it's always going to be bad, because for your situation, for that whatever that is, renting could be the best and smartest move today in this marketplace, guys, because make no mistake about it. If you are looking at two houses side by side in the same neighborhood and they're the same floor plans and they are the same across the board, your based on that price the house today of what the homeowner is going to be asking for compared to a rental right next door, you're going to pay a little less on the rental. That's just what it is. If you're putting down your normal 20% or less even, right, then your payment's going to be elevated. Now, if you're putting down 40, 50% on that, then obviously in that situation, you're going to have a lower payment, most likely even at 7% or even 7 point whatever on your mortgage. But you have to put all the money up in order to do so. So there could be some pros, and there are pros for renting at certain times, but I'm here to tell you that it is specific to your case. Generally speaking, I had this conversation with a client yesterday. I said, look, you know what no one's ever told me in 20 years, my 20th year selling real estate here in the Phoenix area, guys. You know what no one's ever told me? No one's ever said, man, I wish I would not have bought that house 10 years ago. I've never heard anyone, I've sold over 3,000 homes in my career, guys, never heard anyone ever say that. Now, maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years ago, but not 10 years ago. So if you have a long-term outlook, again, I'll make a bold claim here, right? That owning real estate is going to be your best bet. Now, but renting can be good because it can provide a lot of pros in the short term if that's what your situation demands. Short term, owning real estate, having to potentially sell in the near future could be a not so great thing. But long term, beautiful thing. I'm convinced of it. And the stats will tell you the same thing. Okay. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk about the suburbs of the Phoenix area, okay? Because some are doing really well, some are not doing so well. And you have Chandler over here at 128.4, still leading the way, guys. Chandler's been that number one seed for a long time, kind of like the NBA playoffs going on right now, right? I mean, who's the number one seed? OKC, Oklahoma City. I know I'm going on a tangent here, guys, but bear with me, right? Let's inject some fun into this, okay? They're number one seed. They just swept Memphis 4-0 in the first round of the NBA playoffs, and Chandler is OKC right now, basically, right? They're the one seed, and they've been the one seed for a while. But Avondale on the west side doing okay. Why? More affordable. Glendale, same thing. Going in the right direction, more affordable. Still in a seller's market for the most part. Then you start coming down here, and guys, look, this is the lowest I think I've seen the amount of suburbs be at in a seller's market. You only have 5. You have the top 5 in a seller's market. Everything else is in a balanced market, guys. Scottsdale, if you wanted to live in Scottsdale, you are in a balanced market now, overall and generally speaking. Now, again, niches, different neighborhoods, that's going to matter too. But here's the thing. Does that mean it could go lower? Why does no one take a jump that they've been trying to buy a house for years? Let's say since COVID, 4 years, 5 years. But they saw the market doing this, so they held out, and now it just got away from them. So they say, it's too expensive. I don't know when I'm going to buy, when I'm going to jump back in. Well, I can tell you right now, it may not be the best time, but I can tell you that no one wants to catch a falling knife. I use that example of a falling knife dropping out of the sky a lot because no one feels good about buying in a buyer's market. No one feels good about buying in a buyer's market because when is it going to stop? If I buy right here, could it go lower? It could. It could. And then you're mad because you didn't get the best deal possible. But it is impossible, guys, to time the market. It's all about your exit strategy. And if exit strategy has a long-term perspective and horizon, then you might want to think about owning real estate. If it doesn't, like we talked about, renting could be a good option. Now let's jump back in here and show you a couple things. This is interesting, guys. Now this is a residential real estate for the most part show, but at the end of the day, it's still real estate. Real estate is real estate. And guys, look at this from the conf report. This is a tall tale sign. It's an economic indicator, at least in terms of a lead measure. And here you go. April 28th, construction permits for multifamily properties in Maricopa and Pinal counties collapsed during the first quarter to the lowest quarterly count since 2019, 6 years ago. The Census Bureau reported only 2,195 compared to 4,390 in the first quarter of 2024, guys. So that number is cut in half. So compared to last year at this time, the amount of construction permits for multifamily properties cut in half. Okay. Cut in half. So what does that tell you about the housing market? It tells you that right now people are like, ooh, I don't know. I kind of want to wait and see. So what is fueling a lot of this? I think a lot of people out there watching the show have a good idea of what's kind of fueling a lot of this. But let's dive in and talk about it. Hey, Paul, what's going on? Thanks for the comment. So the market crashing, or is a specific price point crashing, and another is holding strong or appreciating? Let's say 850 in Peoria versus 430 in Surprise. There are a lot of differences in data. And there is no question about that. Thank you for bringing that up. So in a 20 to 30-minute show on this, I can only be so specific. And last show, we actually went in by price point, not location, but price point. But you can go here and you can see these locations and how they're performing. But again, like to your point, Paul, it doesn't provide the price point aspect. Now I can go in here and I can kind of look at some of these analysis here, okay, because this is interesting. Here's a price range. Here's a price range area that I can go into, but I like to have this prepared for you. I don't want to jump around because I want to get into a city and an area. So here's what I'm going to do, Paul, and everyone watching. Next week, I'm going to make a note of this. I will specifically pull that situation up for you and then some other areas too. We'll do West Valley, we'll do East Valley, Northwest, Southeast, and so on and so forth. But we will do 8:15 PR and we'll do 4:30 in Surprise, and we'll compare where they're at, because in 1 week, could the market change a little bit? Sure. Not a ton, most likely. So that will be still very relevant 1 week from today. I like to be prepared, have these graphs ready to go so I can boom, 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 hammer away. But you are 100% correct. And that's why we always say it's not a sales pitch. If you don't ever use us for any services in real estate, that's okay. But we are more than happy to take a phone call or a direct message on social media, whatever it may be, to walk through your situation and provide you any graphs that you want. Because again, the Crime Market Report is a paid service. And, so you don't have to pull your credit card and pay every month. We'd be happy to provide those graphs for you or anyone else watching the show. Take me up on that, because I will do it for you, whether you use us or not. There's no obligation at all. No sales pitch, okay? But thank you, Paul, for that. Now, I'm going to go back over the Crime Report because I got a couple things I want to show you guys, okay? Let's jump over here. Listing success rate. This is interesting, okay? Because with a falling knife, if you will, showing that the median price point has dropped $14,000 over a 1 month span approximately, okay? You now are over here, and look at this, guys. Listings a week, December 24, were down here in the doldrums at 67. Then it kind of went up in February. And look at this. March and April have held fairly steady, but you're at 74%. What does that mean? Well, generally speaking, look at that chart. You can see the historical 10-year chart here, that at 73% overall, not bad. Now, it's not what it was in the height of COVID, after COVID, right? But that was wild. And you don't want that market anyway, okay? But let's go back here. And if we talk about 73%, that's not bad. 67% just four months ago, right? Now we're at 73%. So listings are selling at a better clip. But guys, let's be honest, part of that is the seasonal aspect of the marketplace. We're getting helped by that, but not for much longer, because we're heading into summer. And right now we're showing that demand is not steadily increasing like it does through usually mid to late May. Okay. Brian, what's going on, brother? Hey, man, thanks for hopping in and giving us that comment. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate for saying that information and watching here. And again, guys, I try to make this as hard-hitting, as fun fact as possible, so you're not wasting your time listening to me blab for no reason. So let's keep it moving. I'm going to go over here and share my screen one more time here, and we're going to talk about this. Now, this is contract ratios, okay? This is throughout the greater Phoenix area. You can see by month, it's color coordinated over here with this legend. Now, and you can see kind of where we stand right now, 36.3. Contract ratio is a good metric because it allows you to see the differences of each zip code across the board. Okay, I'm going to show you the heat map right here at which zip code and areas are performing better than others. Supply versus demand. And you see on this contract ratio heat map right here, the blue is super cold, as by this legend. And you can see the areas that are doing better than not. So 60 to 80 is considered hot, okay? And you see some orange areas. This little area in Glendale, 85308 in Glendale, is doing not so bad, okay? Phoenix, 85027 is hot. And then you have this zip code, right? Well, that's the Native American reservation, so that does not count. But you have the 85043 down here in Phoenix that is also hot. Now, what is in common for most zip codes? Well, affordability, price points, okay? Price points. But you see over here in the higher price points, it's more blue. Scottsdale, okay, Fountain Hills, and then up here in this area, it gets a little more green, so it's not as bad, balanced, warm in this area, but the price point is dictating a lot of that, okay? So I think it's interesting information. So I'll get my cursor out of the way so you can take a peek at that really quick, and then we'll get out of here, okay, and go on to the next graph. Okay, notice the trustee sales per month. This is interesting. What is the notice of trustee sale? It's going to refresh on me real quick here, but what's the notice of trustee sale, guys? It is a foreclosure. In the state of Arizona, we are not a foreclosure state. We are a deed of trust state. And so when you have a foreclosure, you have a notice of trustee sale or a trustee sale for plain English. But look at guys, the blue mark is ticking up. I love the fact they have 2011 on here because guys, in 11, look at this. It's nothing. It's a blip on the radar compared to 11 and 12, and of course 10, 9, and 2008. But over here, it is going up. The trend is not our friend in this situation. It's going up, but it's still minimal, not really to cause too much of anything for anybody. And so if someone says, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, I heard there's all these foreclosures coming up. Well, maybe in their town it is, but in the greater Phoenix MSA area, it's not. There's the fact right there. Okay. So 494 notices given out in the month of March 2025, which is nothing. Again, you come up here and look at this. January of 11, 6,700 were given out. Yikes. And it got even worse a couple of years just before 2011. Okay. Now, I want to jump in here and talk about a couple of things. Did you know that I made a bold claim? I didn't make a bold claim, but everyone kind of knows that the Arizona economy is doing fairly well. Now, if you have housing not doing so great, if you have people getting laid off, it's not the best thing in the world. But right now, we don't have a ton of that for Arizona compared to other states happening right now. But the economy in Arizona is actually fairly large and doing fairly well. And I think it's going to be poised to do even better in the near future. As I've said in the show countless times, I'm going to continue to say that because the facts would support that. Now, let me show you this interesting fun fact I thought. Okay, here we go. In AZ Central, I'll pull it up so you can read it. What is Arizona's ranking in the global economy? That's kind of fun, right? Where does it stand in a global comparison, not just in America, with a gross domestic product roughly of $552 billion, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis? Arizona would rank 27th in the world. 27th. That's one spot behind Ireland at $561 billion and one spot ahead of the UAE at $545 billion. Alternatively, Arizona ranks 16th if compared to other states. California, of course, is number one, which California now I think has the fourth largest economy in the world, just behind the United States, China, and Germany. And then followed by Texas, New York, Florida, and Illinois for the top 5 economies per state in America. So a little fun fact for you. Now, let's jump over here and talk a little bit about the housing market from a Phoenix Business Journal perspective. Check this out, guys. What is the new deal breaker? This is a great headline. The new deal breaker is derailing some home sales. What could that be? Is it just the fact that no one's buying, or very few people are buying compared to where it was a few years ago? No. Here's what this article goes to talk about. It's the word, and it starts with an I. Insurance. Guys, this is the killer. Cost of homeowners insurance on the rise across the U.S. and is causing more unaffordability of the housing market. Let's go in here and see the survey right here. Here we go. The survey of homeowners also found that 50% say they're worried their homes will become uninsurable in the future. 50%. Okay. 44% say home insurance is more difficult to afford now than in prior years. 75% say they are anticipating more hikes in 2025. 34% say they reduced their home insurance coverage to save money. But here's a shocker, guys. Here's a shocker. 31% say they've considered dropping home insurance altogether. That is wild. Now, California is doing some things where they're trying to put things in place where home insurance companies cannot drop people, but then all you're going to do then is run them out of town, which they may want to go out of town anyway because they've lost so much money. But guys, insurance companies are getting hammered. But at the end of the day, they do obviously make a lot of money too, especially in times where there's not a lot of natural disasters. But California, 50% said they had significantly more issues with homeowners insurance, and 25% say they had somewhat more issues. Florida also saw an uptick in insurance-related problems, with 45.5% of agents saying they had significantly more issues with homeowners insurance. That is not good. And Arizona rounds up the top 5 on some of these lists. So what are your thoughts about homeowners insurance? Guys, what do you think about that? Has your homeowners insurance increased dramatically to the point where if you're buying a house today, you may think twice because of that alone? Now, you still have to have renter's insurance if you do rent, but it's not obviously increased to the extent that homeowners insurance has. Okay. All right. Paul, thanks for the comment. What do we got here? Does home insurance in AZ go up annually, or are you grandfathered into a set price? It can, and it does, Paul. Yes, it does. I'm not sure where you're watching from, but thank you for watching. But it does. That's right. And a lot of when you buy a house in Arizona, a lot of insurance companies, especially if you're financing the lenders on your mortgage, they will require 12 months in most cases, 12 months paid upfront at closing of your insurance. So it's always paid up front. So it increases your closing costs because you have this 12-month premium you got to pay at closing along with everything else. And then from there, it's impounded and escrowed, and then you continue to renew every year, and it is subject to increase based upon that insurance, guys. And did you know that insurance companies, it's pooled risk, right? And so what's crazy is you may have no claims for years on your homeowner's insurance in a specific city, but it will still go up. Why? Because they are trying to cover all their costs for all the other people they paid out money to that didn't even affect you, but it does because you're in that pooled risk situation. So it's very interesting how that works. And did you know that if you had a house that has a leak in, say, Nebraska, which I happen to have a house in Nebraska, that's a tangent, I know, a rental house. And if I go to get insurance on a rental house in Arizona, because I had a water loss in Nebraska like 5 years ago, they still ding me for that for a house in Arizona that has nothing to do with Nebraska or even Nebraska construction or anything of that nature. It's wild, but that's how it works. So that is the silent killer right now happening in Arizona, and the housing market is insurance. Okay, but let's talk about more on the housing market here because we have some other good stuff to get to, but this is interesting. Now, this is a little more specific, but the Phoenix housing market softens as spring selling season fails to ignite. Okay, so we know we are seasonal. The winter, spring, first of the year on does really well typically because our weather is warm, which is a good thing. But what's going on in Central Phoenix? Well, the housing market in Metro Phoenix is softening at a time when the spring selling season is usually robust. Okay. So it's talking about the things that we've already said, but it's just mentioning the fact that prices are going in the wrong direction. Okay. The median home sale price in Phoenix, specifically Metro Phoenix, fell to 446, down from 465 just 5 weeks ago. Again, overall MSA, Phoenix greater area, $14,000 drop in Phoenix, Metro Phoenix alone, a $19,000 drop. Is the euphoria gone in the luxury home market? This is a good article. But what it goes on to say through some of these agents is that the ultra home market is not doing terrible, but it has decreased in terms of the activity. Now, what we're seeing is that a lot of buyers are still wanting to purchase, and they're not necessarily wrapped up in all the global economic things as much. Although if they are going to take a margin loan or use stocks, then that could be an issue because they may have lost, some of their value there, as well as potentially in Bitcoin as well. That's down about 20% over the past 2.5, 3 months. So that all being said, it does affect the luxury market to an extent. But if they're in an industry, owning a business, let's say, that is still thriving, then the luxury market is still doing well. You're just seeing them take a little bit longer. And I think the main reason why is because of the uncertainty with the tariff situation right now, because a lot of their businesses potentially could be affected by global markets, right? Because we're in a global market place now in the world economy. So that is an interesting fact. Now, going back over here to the Phoenix Business Journal, let's talk a little bit about one more thing. Another article says the spring housing market is off to a sluggish start. Okay. Again, this is now over the U.S. In March, more than 375,000 homes were newly listed on the market, increase of nearly 9% new inventory on the market for sale compared to the same time last year. All right. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's go over here to Zillow and let's see what Zillow has to say about their home value and sales forecast for 2025, updated in April. Now, can I say something really quick? Zillow, guys, was wrong in 2024 about their home forecast. So they could be wrong again, but we're going to go back here. We're going to look at it anyways because, hey, why not? Let's see. Let's put them on blast and see what's going on and put them on record. Maybe they'll be right. We'll see. But here you go. It's in purple for you. Zillow's latest forecast indicates a decline in home values coupled with an increase in existing home sales for 2025. While mortgage rates are in an especially unpredictable period, barring unforeseen shocks, Zillow expects rates to end the year near 6.5%. Did you catch the first part? They decline in home values. Okay. What is that decline? Well, home values are projected to drop by 1.9% this year. Not 25, not 18%. 1.9% this year, according to Zillow, a revision from the previous expectation of a 0.6 increase in the percentage of home values. Okay. Now, that's interesting, but here's also something that's interesting too, guys. Existing home sales are projected to reach 4.2 million by the end of 2025, representing a 3.3 increase. That's good. That is good from 2024. Okay, now I'm going to give you another perspective. Okay, this is interesting. HousingWire came out with this article, and I love it. But before I go there, let me just show you this. JP Morgan, okay, they have a prediction on the housing market as well. They, as of February of 25, right here, say JP Morgan expects house prices to rise by 3%, not decrease by 1.9%. Now, to be fair, I couldn't find one for JP Morgan for April 25. So maybe they would change their stance now, given the data over the past 2 months. Okay, but they expect interest rates to be in that mid sixes as well, to 6.7% or so. Also, okay. And it talks about a graph here based upon existing home sales and inventory remaining fairly low, given the perspective of the last 20 years. Okay, so let's go to this article though, because this is an interesting one. HousingWire. Why the housing market is actually much healthier in 2025. Despite negative headlines, inventory and home sales are both trending positive. Okay. Really? Why is it positive? We just saw and we know that inflation is hopefully going to have a good report tomorrow, but still not under control at 2.1 to 2.2%, where the Fed wants to see it. Rates are still very high. Affordability is still a problem for housing in all of America. Why is the housing market actually much healthier shape in 2025? Interesting. But I like this guy's perspective. I'm not saying I agree with it all the way through. Maybe you won't either. But here's what he's basically saying in this article. We're not going to read the whole thing clearly, but what he's saying is that he would much rather be in a marketplace like today, where, yes, we have some challenges, but it's balanced in many markets across America overall. Home appreciation isn't running away with everything. You can have a balanced negotiation on a price of a house if you want to buy a house. Homes don't fly off the shelf in 6 hours on the first day they're listed on the market for, an over asking price. And he would argue, and he gives a whole bunch of data here. I'll share my screen again, guys, that, contracts pending and the mortgage purchase applications index and the single family home inventory and all this stuff to say that it's actually in a better spot today, especially if just ever so slightly the Fed drops the rates a little bit to spark a few things, and home building continues to keep the supply balanced. That overall, this is the market that he would rather see our country in, as opposed to the craziness of 2020 and 21 and 22, where we had an epic crash because it was too crazy. So it's all, I guess, how you look at things, guys. This is what this article says in HousingWire. And frankly, in many ways, I kind of agree with him on this. I do kind of agree. It's not for a realtor. Let me tell you guys, there's pros and cons to every market, but in 2021, holy cow, it was cool from a financial standpoint, making money, and people are buying houses left and right, and it's great. There's challenges with that too as well in terms of having any type of balance. But now it's a lot slower. It's not just happening like this, and you have to really take your time to educate people without a sales angle, and that's what we're trying to do here on this channel with our YouTube Live. And so hopefully you get that vibe from me from that standpoint. Paul, another question. Thank you for participating. What price point is considered a luxury home? Well, that is a great question. I will answer it in two ways. Number one, I'll answer it from a more general standpoint. Luxury for our team, and I think how it should be defined, is an experience of receiving a service or something when you did not necessarily expect it. That's luxury. Okay. And so it could be almost any price point to an extent. Now, let me give the technical answer. Technical answer is there isn't a specific number, but a lot of people in the Phoenix area will consider like $1 million now up to be luxury. If you're in Scottsdale specifically, you are looking at about $2 million, 1.75, $2 million up to be luxury. If you're in Paradise Valley, the most expensive real estate in all of the Phoenix area, you'd probably consider 4 to 4.5 million and up to be luxury. Call it 4 million. Okay. Because the dirt in many places in these areas can be worth, if it's an acre lot, can be worth $1.5 to $2.5 million, or even more, depending on views and usability. So it just depends on what you consider the area geographically within the Phoenix area to be the location that you're looking at. So it just depends heavily on many of those things. Give me a call. I'd be happy to walk you through all this stuff, Paul or anyone. 480-660-5974. 480-660-5974. Okay, now we're going to wrap this up here, and we're going to get this out on a bang because I want to talk a little development, guys. Again, Amcor. Did you know about Amcor? Amcor explores, not explodes. They're exploding too, but they explore ways to speed up work on a $2 billion Peoria factory. This is where it's going, along the 303 loop next to the TSMC mega plant for $165 billion. But this is not going to be a small feat at all. This is going to be a big one. Matter of fact, when they are operational, Amcor will be the largest outsourced packaging plant in the entire country, right there in Peoria, Arizona, filling a critical gap in the domestic semiconductor supply chain by packaging, wait for it, and testing millions of leading edge chips for TSMC, Global Foundries, and Apple Inc. Okay, so this is insane that this packaging facility will be the largest of its kind, located right there in the exploding technical corridor, semiconductor corridor. I'm going to name that, trademark it, through the 303 loop, heading towards Peoria and down through Surprise. So that is going to be awesome. And again, guys, there's multiple articles put out every single week about TSMC. And here's another one, but it just fuels industrial demand in Northwest Valley, guys. This will be the new tech corridor. I'm convinced of it. There's the plant, of course. We've seen pictures of that. But what it's doing to all of the different businesses that in the real estate specifically, right, around that area is just literally insane. And what it's doing for people who want to buy and hold on either commercial standpoint or even some homes that are going to be built in that area or that are already built and rent as a landlord is probably not a bad opportunity, especially if it's long term, guys. We talked about the exit strategy, right? If you exit strategy is long term, holy cow, this will be the spot to do it in the Phoenix area. Okay, now we talked about rates. One last thing, because I would like to last end the thing on the show here on a positive note, a fun note. A little FYI, Federal Pizza brand expands with a new 4,000 square foot Valley Eatery, guys. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be in the Phoenix PV development. For those of you who don't know, this is the old Paradise Valley Mall area by Tatum and Cactus in that Phoenix Scottsdale border area in central Scottsdale, Phoenix area. This is going to be awesome, guys. Federal Pizza is going to be fantastic. And there are some awesome. Trevor's is over there. Oh, if you haven't eaten Trevor's, you got to go to Trevor's. There's some great big time. The Whole Foods there is fantastic. Joyride Taco House. I mean, it's just incredible what they have going on over there in the PV district that they're building. All the new construction. Great place to eat. Great place to go on a Friday, Saturday night for sure. Federal Pizza will add to that mystique of that area. So, guys, thank you so much. Don't turn that dial off yet. Got a quick announcement. So much for watching our show here today. We really appreciate everything and all the support. Now, we will be continuing our YouTube Live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. We're going to keep rocking with this. 4 p.m. local time. If you're on the East Coast, that's 7 p.m. You can grab dinner, turn on YouTube, and watch your boy here, Kelly Cook, tell you everything that you need to know about Phoenix. Because maybe from the East Coast, you want to be on the West Coast, or maybe the Midwest, or maybe even the Mountain Time Zone. Come on over to Phoenix. I love to help you out with anything real estate related. So again, 480-660-5974. Until next Tuesday, 4 p.m. local. Keep it classy, Phoenix. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.